Excuse me.
No.
Ever eaten a dime bar?
Nope.
Would you mind trying one?
Nope.
Did you like the surprising combination of crisp caramel stuff and delicious milk chocolate, smooth on the outside, crunchy on the inside?
Nope. I likes armadillos.
Smooth on the inside, crunchy on the outside. Armadillos! Dime, the surprising alternative to armadillos.
2 armadillos?
You're a bit thick, really, aren't you?
There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace. The word is chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. We're going back to my top 100 action figure list, and the way I put this together was I simply glanced around my room one day and said to myself, what figures are not getting enough love? So this is not the best action figures. It's the top 100 figures that I felt have been at the back of the shelf, gathering too much dust, not showcased enough. Well, that's what this list is all about. It's about showcasing some of the unsung heroes on my shelves, and boy howdy, are there a lot of them. So without further ado, let's carry on the list. Now let's kick it off with something crazy, awesome, and badass. It is the Creech, one of the most edgelord type mid-90s type characters you could ever come up with. I'm getting a bit marble-mouthed here, let's calm down. The Creech, a villain from the Spawn comics. Well, kind of a villain, more of an anti-hero, a science experiment gone amok who's escaped from the lab and is now trying to do good, bad, or indifferent. He's trying to forge a life for himself, essentially. But what McFarlane Toys forged was a badass action figure. Look at this guy. First of all, he's got the green kind of radiation suit, very Doomsday as a matter of fact. But that's where the similarity ends, I would say. What I love most about this guy though is the big, huge, chunky, cybernetic gauntlets. Those are awesome. The boots are similar as well, with little boot jets at the back of his feet there. But those big cybernetic parts thrown on top of whatever this hideous creature is underneath, that's so cool. I bought this when I was going through a nostalgic classic McFarlane kick a few months ago. I was pondering to myself, what were the figures that I never bought in the mid-90s that I really kind of wished I had done? And the Creech was one of them. Plus, he comes on this wicked little rubble base as well, which adds so much to the whole overall look. A really cool character, and on top of that, look at these. Bendy wire. Actual bendy wire, Hasbro. Look at that, and I haven't poked either eye out yet. I mean, give it time, but no lawsuits are coming from this figure from what I'm aware of. There might be an entire hospital wing dedicated to children who have poked their eyes out on the creature's tendrils, but I'm not gonna be one of them. But this guy, yeah, absolutely love him. Going back to Dance With Who Brought Me, I present you with a Marvel legend, Maverick. From Department H, a colleague, cohort, or conspirator with Wolverine and all the Weapon X type guys, Maverick is an underrated figure from last year, from the Strong Guy wave. And I feel he just kind of quietly shuffled in, was an awesome figure, and then kind of moved on. He was like, alright, I don't want to bother anyone, I'm just going to go on your shelves and be forgotten about. No, Maverick, you deserve the spotlight. Mainly, look at the head sculpt. This is such a cool mask. I really like masks that have the lower mouth kind of exposed. It reminds me very much of Mexican wrestlers, a kind of a lucha libre kind of thing. And you would imagine underneath this, he is wearing stretchy pants. He's for fun. It's a great, quiet action figure. He doesn't come with any stupid, ridiculous, over-the-top accessories. Actually, you know what? I will never call any accessory stupid. Just Hasbro, just give us more. I don't care, I won't call him stupid. But he doesn't have any, it's just the 2 guns, that's it. But it doesn't matter because he's got so much additional sculpting with the backpack and the hoses and the body armor and the straps. I bet Hasbro were putting off making this guy. They were looking at him going, it's a lot of original sculpting on there. Don't want to do that. Can we just do Wolverine again, please? But no, they bit the bullet and they made him. Does he look a little bit plasticky in places? Maybe a little bit, but on the whole, I really dig Maverick. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I love the Predator, and this is the Hot Toys Predator. I had to stop myself there because I could have totally just kept doing the Predator theme tune. Do 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 do. Okay, but no more. This figure, dude, so good, so good. I will have him with the mask on always because I just think it looks cooler. I think this is such a... Oh my god, it fell off! Yeah, he doesn't look so impressive with the mask off, but you can see that these little gaps in the face here, this is where you can attach his mandibles, and he has two different sets of mandibles. He has open mandibles and closed mandibles, so you can have either look you want. That's really cool. Oh, actually, does he? You know, I say that, but actually maybe they're just open mandibles. I think that's the only option. Either way, it still looks great. I'll wiki that though. But I'm going to put the mask back on because this is absolutely his coolest look. Now then, if I fiddle around here, can we... Hey, there you go. Unfortunately, this light doesn't actually shine out 3 individual dots. That would be pretty wicked. But still, for a little addition there, that's super awesome. So I'll switch that off because this battery has lasted amazingly long. But here we go, I'll conserve it as best I can do. But yeah, also with the Predator, he's got the wrist blades that retract and go back and forth. He's got different hands. I mean, come on, it's Hot Toys. So of course he has this kind of scaly kind of hand, and he's got open and fisted hands. What's actually cool, this is really random, alright? Maybe it's just me who notices it. But when he clenches his fist in the film, I think because the glove is a bit ill-fitting, he can't quite sort of do it like you should do. His thumb kind of rests up like this. But the action figure actually has that same sort of look, and I'm like, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think someone saw the Predator ball up his fist in the film and was like, I guess that's how a Predator makes a fist. That's great. Also, his fishnet stockings, they're actual real fishnet. Well, not actual real fishnet. You couldn't catch fish in them, I don't think. Although I've never tried. If I was going to be stranded on a desert island with one action figure, maybe it should be the Predator. But yeah, it's actual cotton material, so it's proper string, which is nice. And then just the rest of the details. He's got his little modesty... His little modesty skirt there. So that's all fun, and the reptilian looking feet and whatnot. One thing that I will say detracts from this figure and means that maybe we should get an update is that there's no torso swivel. Or torso crunch, ab crunch, that's what I was trying to say. There's no ab crunch, so there's just the torso swivel. So there's not much you can do posing wise, but then again, when you've got a figure looking this great, do you really need to put him in any kind of pose besides just standing there looking awesome? Yeah, I didn't think so. Let's go back to the Marvel Universe now with SPDR and... Penny Parker, my version of Penny Parker, who is actually a Stepford Cuckoo, but don't these look great as a pair? I love pairing up figures that might not be the ideal sort of way that they're supposed to be presented, but if you fudge the logic a bit, it works really well, and this is a combination I think works so great. Until we get an official Penny Parker figure, this is a great combination. I don't really collect modern X-Men, so I don't need the Stepford Cuckoos, so this is a great use of this action figure. So both of them together, that looks terrific. Plus also because the Stepford Cuckoo's eyes glow pink, that actually works because when Penny Parker is interfacing with the SPDR robot, her eyes glow pink as well. So I'm like, just book it, Dano. That's the way it's meant to be. So she's great. Just as a figure, I think the head sculpt is really terrific. The kind of schoolgirl outfit is beautifully put together with the softer plastic, so you got the jacket and the skirt. That's terrific. And then this guy here, yes, he can be a little bit difficult to stand, maybe, but it's such a cool Neon Genesis Evangelion design, if I pronounce that correctly. It's just taken straight from there and just tweaked just about enough so that you can't sue. It's the classic old, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but change it just enough so the teacher doesn't notice. That's what SPDR is, and I'm not mad. I love kind of the warning hazard type signs. It just looks like it was built in a laboratory. It's really great, and the kind of creepy sort of crouching kind of posture you can put it in, that works. I've got so much time for this figure with the big clawing fingers. Only small gripe is that there's not really much in the way of shoulder articulation. You can move them slightly, but it would be nice if you had a bigger range of motion, but considering how much fun this figure is, I'm willing to let that go. Speaking of fun, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye, or their skin. Blood, organs, and everything else. Why does that happen so frequently? Because we're playing Mortal Kombat! And Motaro is one of the highlights, one of the crown jewels of the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat line. I mean, just look at him. I don't really have to sell this any further. He's literally a beast. He is a beast, not even centaur. Is that a centaur? Yeah, it is, but he's a cybernetic centaur. He's half man, half horse, half cyborg. It's what can you stack up against that? Maybe Man Bear Pig, but besides that, nothing else can quite match the badassery of Motaro. Just the way he's just casually ripped someone's skeleton out. He's like, well, I told you not to look sideways at me. Boom. That's what happens. But also, it must be a common denominator. Bendy wire. It's so easy. It's so easy, Hasbro. I mean, how much does this cost to really add to a figure? It can't jack up the price that much, can it? And again, look, not a single eyeball poked out. I must be doing something right. But yeah, with Storm Collectibles, they use this lovely kind of soft sort of rubber material so that you can bend and twist him, and it kind of holds to its position so that you don't end up with too many cracks or gaps in the figure. I think he's just so lovely with different heads, different hands, blood effects, fireballs you can put on stands. He's got everything going for him. An amazing addition to the Mortal Kombat shelf. And with him, Shao Kahn, and Goro, just bring me Kintaro next year and my shelf is going to be all kinds of awesome. I might be having a bit of a Build-A-Figure type theme here because we now have the Sandman. I've spoken about the Sandman a lot kind of back in the past, but I want to bring him up again because, well, I mean, look at this guy. This is a BAF from when BAFs knew what it meant to be a BAF. At least the new generation of BAFs, because this still doesn't stand up to like Apocalypse and Galactus and the Sentinel for size. But for quality, this is what we need to go back to. This is the happy medium, you see. Because this guy, first of all, he is a big chunky figure, but he has two different pairs of hands and two different heads as well. You see, there are so many BAFs these days like Mr. Hyde or the Crimson Dynamo who are equally big and chunky and cool, but where are the accessories? Where's the hatless head for Mr. Hyde? Suspect is hatless. Repeat, hatless. Or where's different hands? Things to just make it more interesting, you know? This guy had so much going on for him. His regular head is really beautifully sculpted as well, but come on, when you've got this smashed up, hole in the face, angry, even the bits of sand on the chin, it's so much going on there, really great. And the body was kind of easy for them because this was just the Absorbing Man that was just repainted. I think Absorbing Man came out first, but stop me if I'm wrong. But regardless, with this hand like reaching out, and then he's got a wrecking ball hand, like a mace hand, and a club hammer type hand as well. Sandman's got so much going on for him. Absolutely, even to this day, about 6 years after his release, still one of the best BAFs they've ever made. Well, what makes you so different, man? What's so different about you? I'm not wearing hockey pants. It's so funny talking about bendy wire, almost putting my eye out. That almost just... Did you see? I'm going to do an instant replay like that. I could feel that brush my eyelashes. Granted, I have very long eyelashes, but still... Whew, you almost witnessed a disaster there. Okay, if I don't stab my eyes out, I will tell you that the Hellbat is hella wicked. It's like Batman meets heavy metal with a bit of Tron influence in there as well. This is a suit made by Batman and the Justice League, all working together to make him a suit he could wear to go to Apokolips, which, to my understanding, is essentially a hell planet, to rescue not his son, but the corpse of his son. Like, that's real next level badassery. The guy nicks the corpse of his son, and you would have thought no one's gonna go literally through hell for a corpse. What's the point? And Batman's like, you don't know who you're dealing with, do you? So yes, he puts on this armor and he goes and backhands Apokolips, which is, oh no wait, he goes to Apokolips to backhand Darkseid. Showing my DC ignorance there. So what I don't know about DC is measured equal only to what I do know about what looks cool. and this looks cool. Heavy metal armor, big, huge, chunky boots you'd see in any kind of thrash metal mosh pit, just destroying someone's feet that they might land on. You don't want to be next to this guy at a concert, I'm telling you that much. Or behind him. I mean, he must be at least 7'5" in those heels. Well, they're not heels, they're lifts, they're platforms. Don't tell me that Batman doesn't wear platforms. I'm sure he does. But still, this is absolutely wonderful. I've got rid of a lot of my DC figures, but this guy, he had to stay. Mutant target acquired. Is that what Nimrod sounds like? I can't really remember from the cartoon. Nimrod. Big old white and pink plastic brick. But boy, do we love him. I was on the fence at first about getting him because it was a 3-pack. I didn't need the 2 X-Force people, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to sell them. And I did, and I'm left with Nimrod. And he's so big and beautiful. A lot of people might not like the fact that he isn't incredibly articulatable. I wanted to say articulate, but that's just talking. So articulatable. If it's not a word, it is now. If you don't know, now you know. The non-articulatable Nimrod still just looks great sat there on your desk as a giant heavy paperweight. But it's the bright pink and the white that looks so unique in amongst all the different colourful X-Men characters and all the great Marvel characters on the shelf. He really does still stand out. And if he didn't stand out enough, he has these beautiful, luminous, glowing neon power effects that look so eye-catching. And then, even though I will admit I'm posing him as the classic Nimrod, I am keeping the dragonfly on the back, which I think is exclusive to the more House of X kind of design, but I don't mind because it looks too good. It looks too pretty not to have it. It would be a crime not to have a giant pink neon dragonfly backpack on my shelf. So all those things combined makes Nimrod one of the better looking anti-mutant robots.
Yeah, I don't get you, turtles.
I think that's a pretty good Baxter Fly voice. I mean, you try and do a half-human, half-fly voice. Go on, I dare you. Try it now. Not so easy, is it? What is easy is this. It's easy on the eye. Isn't he cute? This is just adorable. When you think about the horror of like a Cronenberg, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly kind of human-insect mashup, that's horrifying. And then the animated turtles do it for kids, and he's adorable. Look at this little bugger. He's so cute. And he's just been captured so beautifully. This is the animated version that has also been given so much articulation that you would have thought, no, this is just going to be like a Crackerjack figure that's just no articulation at all. This is his pose and that's what it is. Nuh-uh-uh. There is so much. He's got the ankle pivot, the knees, the hips, even his fly arms on the back actually have hinges as well, so you can maneuver them however you want, along with his wings too. They went the extra mile with this guy. Neca, I was a little bit salty with Neca. I got this guy not long after I'd had a broken Rocksteady, and I was like, do I want to live this Neca life? And then I got this guy and I was like, yep, we're good, we're fine. There's only one more turtle figure I really want to get though, and that's April O'Neil. If I can get her on like a re-release or something, I'll be able to go, yep, we're good, we're golden. Also, look at his gun. He's actually got the gun with the different animal symbols that he can turn things into. Little bits of detail like that are so much fun. He comes in a 2-pack with Splinter, and there are so many accessories that I can't even list them all off. But just this guy alone with his cute little bow tie and his little fly jowls on his face and his big red eyes and the little fly spiky bits around there. He's adorable, he's horrifying, he's great. Now let's take it over to a dark master of the mystic arts. Or actually, he's probably not. He's just like an eternal type being. Anyway, I digress. It's Dormammu, one of the newest figures I could possibly have on this list. So he's not really a forgotten classic, but any excuse to get this dude out. Already a front runner for figure of the year. Look at this fella, so bright, so colourful. I've added more flames onto his back. These are the Ultimate Green Goblin flames, just to zhuzh him up even more. But the fact that they've gone to all these extra little miles to put so many more points on him. The spikes on the boots, those are terrific. The swirly fire, which we've seen so many times, but I don't even mind because it looks great around his hands. And then, of course, he's got his kind of evil tiara around his face with the flame hair and the stripes and lines. So good. And he's wearing his jammy jams, just like the Red Skull. It's tracksuit. They're having a duvet day. But you know what? I'm fine with that. Also, I mean, as silly as the baggy kind of pants are, that was the style at the time. That's how he looked in the comics, so it's translated so faithfully. A lot of folks say, hey, it would be nice if the fire on the hair, or the hair fire, hellfire, was more yellowy, but this is more orange, so it kind of blends in with the face. So it'd be nice to have a better distinction there, but I'm gonna let that go because there's so many flames, so much translucency, so much purple, my favorite color. There's nothing I don't love about this guy.
You weak, pathetic fool.
Actually, no, that's Shao Kahn. No, that's Shao Kahn. It's Shang Tsung who says that.
Your soul is mine.
Shao Kahn's more like,
you suck.
I always thought that was really funny that they have in the arcade game that this mystical warlord from the Netherrealm is like,
bro, you suck.
It's like, really? Where did you learn that kind of language, Shao Kahn? Doesn't matter, because he looks great. He can say whatever he wants to say. Now, when I just decided to get the Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat figures, I was like, you know what? I don't need the McFarlane ones. That's fine. I had a couple. I sold them, but then we came to Shao Kahn, and I was like, no, I just can't do it. I can't quit you. He looks so badass. I mean, I think the big kind of influence I really love with this is the very Chinese kind of approach they've gone with the armor. I mean, look, I'm no historical expert. I'm saying Chinese. I don't know. Someone might see that and go like, actually, it's Singaporean. All right, fine. Whatever it is, I love this style of armor. The golden spikes, just like Meng would have had. And even, for whatever reason, I really love like the back, like the kind of leather sort of look there. It just feels very much like what some tribal warlord would have in a kind of a Genghis Khan kind of way as well. That works great. But really, I mean, it's all about the helmet and the mask. I mean, look at that. That is just so wicked. If I could have like a prop replica of some sort of mask or accessory, the Shao Kahn helmet, yeah, that would be way high up on the list. Also, just, here's a big, heavy, hefty, chunky guy. He actually fits really well with the Storm Mortal Kombat figures, who are made at a generally larger scale. But then again, McFarlane figures are generally sort of 7-inch scale as well, so it works really well. I have him positioned right now with just my generic badasses, which is great. It's like him and Aether and Curse of Spawn and Super Shredder, just a team of just horrifying looking horseman type dudes who it's like no matter what the hero might be, when they see those guys across the room from them, they're like, nah, I done messed up. And this guy, he invokes that look with the massive warhammer as well, just ready to pop someone's head. That was kind of visceral, but you get the idea. He's wicked. Let's keep it with the bad guys now with Crossbones and another Kit Bash as well. Can you see what I've done? Of course you can. You're Marvel Legends experts. You know what's what. I took the waistcoat from Nuke and oh my goodness, it's like it was tailor-made for this guy. Absolutely takes the figure from what I would totally admit is a very average figure and jumps him up into an A-list kind of class. If only Hasbro did that themselves. But luckily I did, and if anyone has the components to make this, then 100% do it. So cool. I think the bandolier is from one of the Reavers as well, so this guy is packed, stacked, jacked, and ready to take down symbols of American decadence. So cool. Also, I mean, he's wearing a skull mask. We just did Shao Kahn, who looks awesome in a skull mask. Anyone looks awesome in a skull mask, except Triple H, who just looks like he's trying so desperately hard to be cool. It's never gonna happen, Paul. I'm sorry. It's just, if it was gonna happen, it would have, but you almost got there in the year 2000, and then you insisted on being heel while Kurt Angle just got steamrolled by you, and ever since then, everyone's been like, yeah, he doesn't have it. But I digress. Crossbones does have it, with his 2 guns as well. The only thing he's missing, though, is a minigun, like the Thunderbolts box set one had. If this had that, that would be the best. But still, big, heavy, chunky, hefty BAF, not a BAF, buck is what I was trying to say, with his lucha type mask and the accessories I've thrown on there. Real unsung hero. One costume change and several days later and we're back. Yes, I got a little bit held up in the middle of that list and then suddenly the week disappeared because Hasbro kept throwing news at us, but it was all good news and that's the kind I like. But continuing with the list, we have
The Shredder.
the TMNT NECA 1990 movie Shredder. This is such an interesting kind of, well, fashion choice, basically. I love that they went for this kind of sparkly look to the character when they were designing him back in the 90s. They could have gone drab and dark and armory, but no, it was like, this is Shredder. He's a new crime lord of New York, and he's fabulous. You can just imagine him in the warehouse looking through swatches that Tatsu and the boys have stolen, and he's like,
I know the purple brings out my eyes, but I want something to give it some real zhuzh.
and Tatsu's like,
What about the sparkles? I like your thinking, Tatsu.
we have Sparkly Disco Shredder, and I love this guy. First of all, NECA being NECA, it's just a great movie likeness. They're so good at what they do. But also, because he's wearing a helmet and a mask, it does cover up the face a bit, which gets rid of some of the uncanny valley look. The Casey and the April figures, they look a bit, not quite sure how I feel about you because you look a bit too real but not real enough. Whereas this walks that fine line nicely. Plus, you've got the material for the cape, which again is super fabulous. Like,
Okay, for my cape, imagine a future disco zebra. That's what I want for my cape, Tatsu. Can you do that for me, Tatsu?
I think Tatsu was his stylist. That's why he was so understated. Tatsu was like the Mugatu of of the TMNT world. He's like,
Sci-fi disco zebras are so hot right now.
But I digress. The blades on the fist are really cool. Very sharp and mean and tough and just nasty looking. As is the actual kind of chain link, chainmail on his boots. It just feels real. It feels like something you would find in a samurai museum. Then the actual detail on his face, it gets lost in the shadows of the mask, but actually his eyes, and you can see some of the scarring there. So cool. Then with the huge big blades on the helmet, and again the sort of armor texture on there. So great, so badass, such an awesome Shredder design. I'm going to stop gushing about him because you can see him. He's just wicked. Going back to Legends, but not Hasbro, a figure that's been featured a lot recently, Beetle Onslaught, Advanced Onslaught, whatever you want to call him. Call him a great looking figure. Now this is part of this transition from the huge big builder figures to the more reasonably sized ones. And I say reasonably in a nice way because I could also put less awesome. You know, imagine if this was at the same scale as the Apocalypse Galactus Sentinel. Oh my god! It would be fantastic because that's the only thing that fails this and the other more modern Onslaught BAF. They're just a little bit too small. One day, maybe as a HasLab, could you imagine a giant badass Onslaught? That would be incredible. I would buy it. I don't know if many others would. But still, this guy here, he's small, compact, but really cool. Mostly, I love the texture. This kind of rough armor plating. Actually, look at that. We just got the armadillo announced, and if that's not armadillo-y, I don't know what is. So very similar there, but this is kind of Beetle-ish like this. And the way the plates all tessellate in together, I really love that. It's so satisfying. Then he has his kind of bug-type legs with the extra sort of backwards knee-type joints there. It's some really clever sculpting and moulding that's gone into him. And when you do actually stand him up full scale, he is really tall. He actually is bigger than you realize. You can compress him down and he's not as impressive. Speaking of which, it is a bit difficult to stand him up because his legs are a bit loosey-goosey, but as long as he's, resting a little bit, he can still look imposing. Then the huge big claws with the fingers, all of which are individually articulated. That's lovely. It looks like he's just ready to mess up the entire Marvel universe. So much fun and glee to be had with the evil. Then with the darker wash over the red paint, really bringing out the shadows and the textures. Again with the plates on his legs. It's so much detail in there. And then finally the coup de grace is the beetle face that actually has the kind of cybernetic look to it. But actually you can see his head is articulated ever so slightly as well. Isn't that cool? You can actually move him around to make him look sort of various directions and just gives it more character with the piercing blue eyes, the gnashing teeth and the mandibles at the side. This is such a great figure. If you have it and you haven't looked at it recently, take it off your shelf and just go, yeah, that's badass. Let's go back to my favorite video game franchise, or one of my favorite video game franchises. We are returning to Mortal Kombat! My first Storm Mortal Kombat character, and the one that kick-started my obsession with buying these. Cyrax is perfect. As far as a 6-inch, 7-inch scale action figure is concerned, you couldn't get a better likeness reproduction of the character. If this was made in this is 1/12 scale, you know what I mean. But if this was made in 1/6 Hot Toy scale, you wouldn't really improve on this, because that's the great thing about this design. There's no organic human components that can look a bit, that doesn't look right. It's all just armor. And that's where it lends itself so well to action figure form. And the armor is great. It's so just a big bang of 90s design. Look at that helmet. I mean, tell me someone didn't watch Predator and go, yeah, we'll take that. It's like that meme of, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but make sure you change it enough so the teacher can't tell. Yeah, you didn't change it enough, pal. Doesn't matter though, because it looks amazing. Even especially with the cables, the dreadlock style cables on the back there. I'm thinking, you ain't fooling no one, pal, but I'm not even mad because you look amazing. Plus, you've got his chest compartment here, which opens up. And then that's the thing with the Cyber Ninjas. They all have their various components that can come out of here. So in the case of Cyrax, he's got this energy net, this green glowing energy net you can fire out to catch people, which is great for photography because he comes with the net itself. He comes with a bomb as well. So great for accessories, and just the articulation for this is fantastic. You can put him full on in the splits, and because of the wonderful ankle rocker, you can actually balance him. You can balance him full on doing the splits. It's so much fun, like kicking, gadoosh, little sweet chin music there. So yeah, Cyrax is wonderful with the different hands, with the fists, the open hands. So much you can do, so many posing options. Still, despite all the other Mortal Kombat figures I've got, I have to admit, even compared to Goro and Shao Kahn, this is my favorite. For this next entry now, we're going to go back in time, Back to the Future style. Gotta go back in time, but not quite as jolly as Doc Brown and Marty's adventures. This is Terminator, specifically Terminator 2. And talk about going back in time. This is going back in time for me. This was my last job before everything stopped. So I was playing the Terminator, and now I get to be immortalized in action figure form. It doesn't really count if the action figure comes out before you take on the role. That doesn't count as getting your own action figure because it was made independently of you, but I digress. I'll fudge it any way I can. Whether it's someone doing a custom for me or me playing a role that's already been made as an action figure, I'll take it. So we have the T-800. I pair him with John because, just the two of them together, that's exactly how it should look. That's great, and it takes me back to doing the stage show when I would have the other stuntman there playing John Connor with the floppy hair wig, and good times. But anyway, he goes off to do his thing, and we have the Arnold T-800. And this is, I still think, the best 7-inch scale Arnold figure. Just the square jaw, the hair is perfect 90s Arnold hair, and for this one in particular, because he's wearing the sunglasses, you don't get the eyes that don't look quite right. Because that's always the case with the NECA figures, I find, is the eyes have it, or more to the point, the eyes don't have it. They just look kind of a little bit glassy and not quite there, especially when the rest of the figure looks so real. So whack on the sunglasses and you're good to go. So this one is absolutely the figure that I wanted from years ago. I remember when McFarlane Toys first did a T-800 and it was the battle damaged one from the end of the movie, and I saw the promo pics and I was like, oh, that's so cool, I can't wait to get that. This is going back to like 1998, by the way. I was like, I can't wait to get that. And then I saw it in store and it looked completely different because obviously after doing the initial ones, they had failed to get the licensing rights for Arnold's face. So instead the figure actually came out with the entire front of the face ripped off. And I was like, well, that's not the Terminator from the film. That doesn't please anyone. Of course I'm going to buy it, but it was maybe the first figure that I hate bought. But now I have the proper T2 Arnold. And he comes with so much. He's got the shotgun here, which is just fantastic. By the way, in case you've ever tried it, you can't do the spinny reload with a regular version of this gun. Trust me, I've attempted it. You'll break your fingers. It turns out the one he used in the movie actually had a special attachment. But also he comes with the minigun as well. He comes with the backpack with the ammunition in there. I keep him posed like this because this is how I looked when I did the show, except he's a little bit more broad-shouldered. But don't get me wrong, I used to be yoked back in 2017. I was pretty hench back then. I was slimmed down a lot. I was never Arnold size, but hey, a padded jacket, it hides a lot of sins. But yeah, this figure is absolutely wonderful with the bullet hole details in the back there as well. The zips, the gloves, they've covered everything from the movie and the result is absolutely fantastic. This might seem real random now. We have Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker Batman from the Batman Dark Knight's Metal line. So this is a Batman who went bad. He wanted to get power, he wanted to get revenge. With all of these stories, he's always trying to do good, but he's gone too far. And in this case, he straight up murders Hal Jordan, I think. It's been a long time since I read it. But he takes the Green Lantern ring and becomes Dawnbreaker. Now, what I particularly like about this figure is, weirdly enough, it's because he's ugly. It's not often you get figures like they're either human or they're monstrous, you know? But actually just an ugly human with some nasty scarring going on there. It's very Neca. It's quite Jason Voorhees. It looks like almost the ring is corrupting him in a way. Very Lord of the Rings, actually. Or maybe almost like, I don't really know how the Green Lantern rings work, but it's like it's almost battling against him, like he's forcing his will upon it to keep it, and it's just tearing him apart from the inside. That's my headcanon anyway. I'm sure it's completely wrong. I'm sure there are DC fans watching this going, stop getting Green Lantern wrong! I'm sorry, I'm the worst. But what they get right is the Green Lantern construct here with the bats. Oh my goodness, the glow, I was going to say glow in the dark. It looks almost glow in the dark, but it's translucent, bright, shiny green construct here. That's so cool. And I've held it up to the light now. I can see it's not just bats on a thing to hold them. This is actually a tentacle. It's got like octopus suckers on it. That's so awesome. Then you add in the beautiful sculpting on the armor, on the green armor there, with the boots as well, and you turn it around here, that does fall off quite a lot. I'll forgive it. And he's got the weird hose type things going from his ears. These aren't iPods. I don't know what is going on here, or earbuds, whatever they're called. It's some strange contraption, and I think because we don't know what it is, that only makes it freakier. And overall, that's what I love about this figure. It's just plain freaky.
Hey, Toidles. Tonight I dine on Toidle soup. Hey, that's my line. Oh, sorry, I can't think of any Bebop lines. But okay, do you like my cape? I think it looks fabulous. Oh, you.
I couldn't think of any Bebop lines. What does Bebop say?
Oh, it's time to get the Toidles. They're really hashing my potatoes.
I don't know. What I do know is that this figure looks great. I bought him in a 2-pack with Rocksteady. They were the first Ninja Turtle figures that I got. And even more so than Krang. Krang was the figure that made me go, you know what? I gotta collect this line. But this guy was the figure that I first saw in store, and I was like, oh, well, hello. Because I knew that Neca were doing animated turtles, and I saw pictures, and I was like, oh, they look very pretty. They're very cool. Little nostalgia. Good for you, whoever wants them. And then I saw this guy in the box, and I was like, Oh, he does look really, really good. So yeah, I've got him, and he does. He looks terrific. Basically, everything that you see on the cartoon is boshed on here, three-dimensionally in my hand, looking wonderful. Of course, it's Neca, which means that it's held together with pixie dust and cobwebs, so you've got to be careful. But as long as you move him in safe ways, you know, if you want to heat him up before doing any crazy posing, like I tried to move his elbow there and I could feel the resistance, and I was like, nope, don't do it. You don't want to break a figure on camera. We've been there before, and it was a sad time for all concerned. But yeah, in one piece, he looks awesome with the glasses, which you can lift up the glasses and you see these freaky black eyes. I used to date a girl who had black eyes like that. She was into body mods and stuff, so she had injected this dye into her eyeballs. And I'm like, whew, well, okay, rather you than me. But having said that, it did look really cool. She looked like Gambit. It's badass. Anyway, he looks great. He's got the turtle shells on his shoulders. I was trying to think of the word for shoulders there. It's been a long week. But yeah, with the bandolier as well, the grenades, so much great stuff going on. All the extra hands and accessories you would expect with Neca. His jaw is articulated, but again, you want to be very careful with that when you're playing around with it. But still, it's not like he's made of glass. You know, you can still pose him around and it's not a problem. So yeah, him sat on the shelf next to Rocksteady. It's an amazing combo. Great figure. This one might seem really random for me to put forward, but Eric O'Grady, the Black Ant. Now, why this guy? He's a pretty basic figure. But first of all, I've got to admit, and this is probably the worst thing to kind of be a sucker for, but he is kind of hard to find. He's a Walgreens exclusive, and when I got him, I was like, oh shoot, I did not think I'd be able to get my hands on him that easily. But what's really great about him, first of all, the red and black, it's a sleek design, looks very cool, but also I love the glowing in the eyes. That's so... Excuse me, a little bit gassy. It's so effective, the way he's got the yellow inside the eyeball and then radiating out with the orange. It looks alive. It looks so cool. And then you've got this Tron kind of design with the little line of light going down the helmet. And the helmet design itself is so smooth and sleek. There's such great ergonomics in here that it's so easy to get this figure, especially the regular Ant-Man version. Do I have him? I must have Ant-Man behind me somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. Both in the same kneeling pose. But yeah, I love character contemporaries side by side. It just looks cool. I love that bookend kind of effect. But where Ant-Man, he's a great figure as well. I mean, they're pretty much identical. He gets a little bit lost on the shelf, I feel. His mask looks a bit more drab, bit more functional, whereas this with the glowing eyes, because also this character is, he's an android, I believe, or a synthezoid. He's a life model decoy. The original Eric O'Grady was killed. He sort of did a heroic sacrifice after living a very unheroic life, and then the LMD kind of took his place. But this just radiates, it glows off the shelf with the little antenna as well. I'm a big fan for Black Ant. And finally for this list, we have the Dread Dormammu. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. We have the second Dormammu. I've put the newest one, but also that just reminds me how much I love the original BAF. He does, of course, come with the glowing skulls as well, which, downside of the figure, boy, these were not made to fit in his hands. You can fimbly bimbly them in. They will get there, but he kind of wants to hold them like this, and then you just nudge him with a slight breeze and it's, oh, drop my flaming skull. It's like, come on, dude, you are literally all about the flaming skulls. You shouldn't have a problem holding on to them, but he does. But besides that, he's got so much great stuff going on here. From top to toe. First of all, you have the flame hair. From Ghost Rider to someone else with flaming hair. It just looks great. A flaming head with skull-like details. In this case, it's like a comedy mask from drama, comedy, tragedy kind of thing. So I kind of dig that. But then the big spiky collar, the other spikes coming up here, the fact that it's a beautiful chrome, shiny purple design there with, again, shiny red as well. So much shine. I love it with the clawed hands. And I love his sort of, I love a lot, obviously. Must buy Thesaurus. But still, he's got his kind of skirt here, which makes for a great design. Although his articulation, it feels kind of limited. With all of this going on around him, you pretty much are limited to having him just standing straight and tall. But when he's got one skull in each hand, like, why wouldn't you be standing straight and tall, just being like, ha ha! I got mother-loving flaming skulls, y'all! That's all he needs to do, just stand there and radiate power and badassery. And that's exactly what he does, and that's why I love him. And guys, that concludes this episode. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And also, I keep forgetting to mention this, but I highly recommend you go over and join the Discord, the Model Behaviour Discord. If you enjoy chatting and talking about action figures, movies, comics, all things in between, you can click the link in the description below and join the Model Behaviour Discord. It's a really good place, good vibes only, good times to be had, lots of awesome people there. And I've got a whole bunch of admins who just do such a good job of curating the place, keeping it up to date, and being really great points of contact. And if you want to know how dedicated they are to my work, then basically one of them phoned me up at 3 a.m. once because there was an issue with the Discord, and he was like, "Hey Dave, could you grant me some permissions to do some things because I'm having some issues on the Discord?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's 3 a.m. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it, and just promise never to call me again." That's how dedicated the admins are on the Discord. And finally, guys, if you want to doubly support the channel, you can go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior, is what I would say if I was still allowing people to join. But unfortunately, I have closed admissions for the rest of this calendar year because, quite frankly, I feel like it's not exclusive enough a club. Originally, I was only going to allow like 2 or 3 people just to be in my inner circle. And actually, that's expanded to about 20, like you're seeing demonstrated here. Now, that's all fine and good, but the fact of the matter is, if I let any more people into the Patreon, then it's not going to be an exclusive club. And then people will start thinking that I'll let any old riffraff in there to view all of the awesome exclusive videos. And that's not what I want. I want someone to be able to like walk into a bar or something and be like, "Hey baby, do you know I'm a member of the Model Behaviour Patreon?" And they'll be like, "Oh my God, really? I thought that was just a myth." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I joined before Dave shut off the entries, so I'm a real one." Now, unfortunately, Patreon don't seem to have updated their systems yet. So if you do try to sign up, you might be able to. So I'm asking you on your honor, please don't sign up to the Patreon and become one of the saviors of model behavior. Because if you do, then you're going to get all the bonus videos and the credit and kudos of being within the inner circle. And I specifically told you not to. All right, so that would be a little bit cheeky. So guys, thanks very much for watching. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Chill.
It's time now to go back in time in more than one way because we are going to go Terminator 2. So, a franchise, my favorite movie from... let's do that again. Don't start sentences if you don't know where they're going to go. There's so many entertaining videos on that... it's not on the Discord, it's on the Patreon. Now, you know what? I'm going to start that bit again. I'm going to edit that. You won't even tell.